Hello everyone, I wanted to make another video here about another topic regarding society in this paper that I've made and all of that. And it's about universal law. And every human's right to a basic human income. As a premise for the existence, construction and continuation of society. And so what is that? Well, basically we have this little thing called society going, right? Which keeps itself alive on this planet under the illusion of that everyone has a part in society and everyone has a chance to be part of society, right? That's why we have these things called passports, for example. We have passports where people are born to prove what nation they are part of, what nation owns the social contract over that individual, right? That we all can agree upon. So people are given passports because if they are not given a passport and they are born over a region here, in this case Sweden, then what nation are they part of? No, they're not part of any nation then, so that's a problem. So that's why we have passports, to locate what part of nation people are members of and what nation owes them the right of social security. Why is that? Well, that is because the existence and the development of society out from a universal perspective is that there are different regions and nations on this little globe, and all people must be part of one of them, you know, when they are born in that place, because the nation of Sweden don't want people being born on the ground of Sweden and then not being part of the nation of Sweden. That's not good. So they are given passports so that they are members of that nation. For instance, if I would want to have kids now, my kids would have to, well, according to this thing here, they would have to have passports. Because the nation of Sweden don't want people being born on the land and ground of Sweden without having passports. And that gives the nation of Sweden right to, well, mandate certain things according to Swedish law over those kids. Well, with that passport then comes rights, right? The right to basic human income, which was sort of the accordance of which this society thing was constructed and is continuing to be constructed. It's the whole sort of thing that keeps everything going here. The construction, the taxes paid, people not, you know, just building houses here without permission and so on. That's under the accordance of this thing called the nation of Sweden. And so every person with a passport in the nation of Sweden, and in many nations all over the globe, they have a right to basic human income. And so they have to go to this place, the social welfare office, and apply for that right to basic human income. However, that right somehow gets fiddled away through various means throughout the process many times. So that's why we have these people in the category of no income, because their right to a basic human income gets fiddled away somehow. Now, if it wasn't a right, see it this way, if it's not the right for every person with a passport of a nation to have a basic human income, their right honored for a basic human income, then why would there be a social office in the beginning, in the first place? Why would there be questions in the first place? Well, the questions and all of that is just to fiddle away people their right to basic human income. Fool it away. That's the whole purpose of that. Kind of like when you go to high school and you go there to study to get grades, and the high school is a public domain, right? Everyone gets to go there. In fact, everyone has to go to the high school in order to be graded, so that society can place them in different parts of futures that they can go to or not go to, right? And so the principal does not own the high school, right? We all understand that. And the teachers don't own the high school, right? We all understand that. And the students, they don't own the high school either. We all understand that, right? Exactly. So the high school is a public domain. It is owned by everyone. Everyone. And that's the only circumstance that the high school can exist under, is that it is a public domain, not owned by the principal, teachers, or students. So yeah, we're all under the accordance of that, right? But so then in high school something happens which is called bullying, right? You know, some students they don't have friends, or maybe some other group of students are mean to them, and the bullying exists because principals and teachers allow for bullying to happen, because the teachers and principals can't really, you know, tell students that they can't come to school. In fact, they want them to go there so they can grade them, but they can't really affect their the outcomes of their grades in any other way than to allow bullying to take place, because bullying is pretty easily solved through behavioral science and so on. They can solve bullying pretty easily. It's not a hard thing. The thing is that bullying is being allowed in schools and so on to happen, take place, because it affects the outcomes of the studying pace and the development of kids, and the outcomes of their grades, and keeps the structure of this whole thing going, so that it's limits it. And you know, for example, now, why is this so important? Well, see it this way. You know, if you start in a new workplace, and me and my colleagues were to go and flush your head in the toilet in lunch break, then you would probably go to the police, and the police would be outraged, and we would be put in jail, you know, because that's illegal to flush people's heads in the toilet. But in high school it's not illegal to flush people's heads in toilets, because in high school kids flush each other's heads in the toilet, so then it's not illegal, right? But it is illegal. It is illegal for kids to flush each other's heads in the toilet, just like it's illegal for grown-up people to flush each other's heads in the toilet. It's just that society is planned out in that way that we do allow it in high schools. In earlier times, you know, before times, they used to hit kids in school. That was allowed. Nowadays, it's allowed to flush people's heads in the toilet. But it's not actually allowed, because with time and evolution we make it so that it's not allowed. But what is happening is that also during that time, that evolution, parts and people and populations of intelligence and people, in other words, are getting thrown off. They go and kill themselves because they get bullied in school, and so they disappear from the future gene pool as a consequence of this slow, deliberate evolution of adjusting the rules of this society high school that we got going here. But like your workplace, for instance, if colleagues were to start flushing each other's heads in the workplace, in the toilets, then everyone would agree that that's not okay, right? And so we should all understand that we should agree that it's not okay for kids to flush each other's heads in the toilet either, and that it's not okay for principals and teachers to run the high school so that is possible, right? And so that we could fix right now, right ahead, because that's the current phase, is that it is allowed for kids to do it, and that's the age when they shouldn't be allowed to do it, right? Because that's when they should learn not to do it. Because also the purpose of that is that when high school ends, then those kids who do that, they go out of high school, and they continue that behavior, and then they can be locked in jail, because they were taught that they were taught basically through convention that it is okay to flush people's heads in the toilet, but not when you're over 18. So then they get thrown in jail for flushing, or you know, that behavior escalates. But basically, for flushing, after 18, they start getting thrown in jail for that. So then two parts of population have been kind of set out from the whole structure thing. The ones, the bullied nerds, some of them go kill themselves, they disappear. The bullied nerds whose grades get fucked up because flushing heads in toilet and so on, they get limited to some, they can do that job now. They couldn't get up to the job they wanted to because of bullying. And then the bullies, they go and they get thrown in jail because they didn't understand that the behavior, it was actually not okay. They were just okay in high school because we wanted to grade kids and have that being influenced by the bullying thing. And so then we move on, and it becomes illegal in working places to flush each other's heads in toilet and so on. And so now we're kind of in society, we're in a sort of historical times of high school, where a lot of things that are allowed in current times in society, in history, are actually not allowed. Like, they're very illegal, many of the things that are taking place. Just like hitting little children was illegal 50 years ago. Also, you know, it was always illegal to hit little kids in schools. It was always illegal to flush people's heads in the toilet. It was always illegal to lock people out from their right to basic human income out of the foundation of why this society thing was constructed upon this planet. It was always illegal according to universal law. It was always illegal according to universal law to hit little kids in schools by teachers and principals. Always illegal by universal law to flush each other's heads in the toilets in schools, etc., etc., etc. It's just this pretense that we have a thing called time and history that is gradually developing and becoming smarter, but in reality it's a deliberate evolution of becoming smarter, because it's convenient for grading kids and putting people out of the future gene pool, either because they get thrown in prison and then they can be in prison, or because they go and kill themselves and then they don't exist anymore, or because their grades get fucked up and then they work some crappy job because their head got flushed in the toilet. And so that's an illusion, and it is all illegal, and it is all illegal according to universal law. Because according to universal law, or by universal law, this little society thing here can only be constructed upon this planet under the premise that all the people who live on this planet have a right to be part of the society. You know how I know that? Well, I'm gonna tell you how I know that. Because all of the kids have to go to the school, the public domain, to get graded. Because that's the only way that those grades can be seen as valid out of the perspective of society, out of the perspective of universal law, sort of. But the fact is that it's not according to universal law. Because right now, people's right to basic human income are being fooled out and discriminated upon in social welfare offices. Social welfare offices' only purpose in reality is to give people social welfare, help them get into society. But the current standard now has become, because through incompetence, that social welfare offices' jobs are to keep people out of society, which is totally illegal. Because basically what they're doing is that they're taking away people their citizenships by denying them their right to basic human income and denying them access to society. And regardless how you choose to see this discrimination, there isn't really any good explanation that you can come up with as to why you get to discriminate upon certain individuals. Because the best thing that you can come up with is that it is intelligence quote-based discrimination, and that is also actually the worst sort of discrimination that you can come up with. So this little thing here is illegal, and it is illegal by universal law. And I know so because the only reason why you want to grade kids in this little school thing is to validate this thing in the future. To have the pretense of that this little race here that was going on was all legal. It was all, what's a better word? That it was all legit, we can say. But it's not legit. That's why the foolery is taking place. That's why they are just sort of not from here. You know, they're not taking away people their citizenship openly, honestly, saying we're there now, we're taking away your citizenship, because they don't do that, because that would be judicially, it would be too much of a hassle to take away people's citizenships in courts of law. It wouldn't cling well to the future history either, and also it wouldn't be possible with the people who were born on this land here, the natives, because it's a huge native population sitting here. So that you can have that also clean and clear in your minds. But so let's continue. Yes, it's to keep up the pretense that this little thing that it's going on by taking away people's citizenships is legit, or not the taking away citizenships. That's kind of like, but that it happened just because people were not fit to be part of this. But the reality is that people are fit to be part. Those people are fit to be part of this. It's just that they are being fooled out of their right to basic human income, a right which is by universal law, and which is the only reason as to why we have this institution here that sits and tries to categorize people and then put some people in a garbage bin over here. And that is to validate this whole thing. That's why society in this structure here is so eager of that all kids need to go to the school so that they can become graded. Because once the grading has been done in the schools, in the institutions, and the kids come to the age of where they are now seen as adults, then all of that interest goes away, because then the whole achievement of what that structure from a larger perspective, what its function was, which was to validate the future construction of what this could become. But it is illegal, and it is illegal according to universal law, because it was always illegal to hit little kids, and it was always illegal to flush each other's heads in toilets and so on. It's just a false pretense that goes on because it is convenient that we have an evolution that is slow and deliberate, but it's illegal. Firstly, we can just clarify that it is illegal to take away people their right to basic human income, basically entrance to society, and their citizenship to the nation of this land. Because what it does is that it takes away the social contract, social security contract of this nation, of these individuals here. Because it denies them the basic human income, which means that they are then only part of the land and ground of this region here, which means that there are two populations of this region here, which means that this little society thing, and not only in this place here, but throughout this globe, is in under somewhat, I mean, at least symbolically and theoretically, under a pretty huge threat as a existence, or validated existence at least. And you can, but as a valid existence, it is problematic then, because like I said, now there are two populations upon one piece of land here, and that's not because it's fun to say so. That's because actually they are taking away the rights of what this passport and this citizenship means. Because, like I said, the social security contract which comes with this nation here loses its validity the second you deny people their right to basic human income, which is the premise for this place. That if you take resources from this land here, and build up a society, which was which the premise for was that all the people were supposed to get to be part of. Then yeah, I'm losing my thought because I'm tired now. Also maybe because I'm slightly not intelligent enough. But yes, well, basically, exactly. So when you do end up the social security contract out of a nationality the perspective of the nation, then well, these people no longer have and they are not part of this nation anymore. Then they are part of the land and the ground again, and so that's a bit of a problem. That's a little bit of a problem. So that's that. Like, yeah, you know, that's a bit of a shame. Bit of a shame. So what else is there to say? Yeah, basically that all people should get the rights to their passport back, or this nation of Sweden thing and many nations throughout this globe need to start acknowledging officially, at least, that they are taking away citizenships. Because this doesn't work. Like this little pretense does not work anymore. And I mean, the acknowledgement that they are either part or not part of the nation needs to come through the honoring of the rights which comes with the passport, which some citizens get and some don't get, which is based on discrimination out of intelligence-based quotes. That's just the fact. That's reality. It's not some fun thing. The people sitting here who are called whatever, it's just that they don't measure up to what is seen to be the quote for intelligence. And the thing is also this, that basically you so smart people, you know, you're sitting and you're sorting out people here. You have the triangles and you have the circles and you have the quadruples and then you have the star. Those are your four categories that you place people in, like a little baby, like you did when you were babies. You tried to put the triangle in the star thing, couldn't do that, and so on. But then you solved it. But then there were more complex shapes. More complex shapes that didn't have holes in the thing, right? And so those, we, as this thing here, because it's being run by people who think they're smart. It's being run on people who are really believe in the human concept of intelligence, which is based off an idea, which is a human idea of IQ, which in reality it's just like a little. It's no bigger than if your family were to make up their own little test to see who is actually part of the family, right? You know, let's say your family were part of they all studied some sort of field, then you could put up a test to see if they understood the things that you understand in your family. That's your IQ tests, and they are not much smarter than that. There are people who are far more complex than you are, who are sitting out here now because of discrimination, according to intelligence quota, which is based on a human concept called IQ. And the fact of the matter is that well, people talk about wanting to go to space and Mars and so on and so on and so on. But if we are to go to those places, then we will need all the people that we have on this planet, because all the people on this planet are like a key to going to those places. We need all the people. It's quite, the group is smarter than the individual. That's a scientific claim, which I guess makes quite a lot of sense. And also a larger sum of intelligence, or a larger sum of people, larger sum of variety of intelligence is smarter than the group. And so if we're going to leave this place, this planet, and go to Mars, which everyone is so excited about, at least in the internet and so on, then we will need all the people for that, because we will need all sorts of intelligence, because all sorts of intelligence will be smarter than the little group. And if we're going to leave this place, we're going to have to really be smart. And also another fact is that if we are to leave this place, we need to leave this place in equilibrium before leaving it. Everybody's talking about the environment and so on, and we should care about the environment, and it's important. And if you don't say that, then then the room goes silent, and it becomes uncomfortable. But the way we live in reality is that we don't really care about the environment, because we're thinking about leaving this place without leaving it in equilibrium. So what, you're gonna go to a new planet and fuck that place up too, right? So yeah, we basically need to start fixing this place and putting it back into equilibrium before we start trying to leave it. And that is by honoring that is by honoring these passports and the promises out of these nations first, because that is what is mandated by universal law. And that's by giving people the right to their basic human income first, and start fixing this place and putting it back in equilibrium. Because this is not equilibrium, this is not good. And that's a reality. And well, yeah, that's that. So what else is there to say? I don't know if there is much else to say. Basically just that this all is kind of stupid. And no, I'm not stupid. Because the setup of this right now is that these people here can basically just start smashing this place if they want to. That's the righteous reality, is that these people here can basically just start tearing down every fucking thing that's built upon this place now, with right. And so all the little grades made in your high schools and all the studies in your universities are useless, because you're basically not acquiring them on this society thing. You are building them up to acquire them in some future, when these people, or portions of these people, are dead. So in this instant reality now, righteously, according to universal law, these people can just start tearing this fucking shit down if they feel like it, and by right doing so too, as long as the passports keep being denied entrance to the different nations throughout of this globe. And that's a reality, and that's a righteous reality, and that's a big problem. It's not a big problem for these people. These people are already living in misery. Now I'm not going to try to talk on the behalf of other people, but I can talk on the behalf of the people that I've seen in the institutions all throughout the places here, who are locked in little small apartments and living under horrendous fucking living standards that are worse than anything that you televise on this little thing here. So for them it would, or at least for some of them, it would be better if this thing just disappeared right now, and that this whole thing ended right now, possibly in just a light that took it all away. It wouldn't be nice for these people, or at least not some of them. Some of these people are scared when they go on board a plane, scared that the plane is going to crash. Meanwhile, well, some of the portions of people who are locked in the apartments here and being tortured, for them it would just be nice if it all disappeared. And so the righteously actually, like the current fact right now is that this portion of people, I mean, I'm not talking on behalf of anyone, but this because I'm not, but this portion of people righteously, just logically looking at it according to the bigger picture here, can start go tearing down everything, and righteously do so, because the contract has been broken, so to say, and the grades are not valid anymore. And so that's the reality. And so it's probably a smart idea to start fixing this place and put it back in equilibrium. So that was all the things that I wanted to say here. And you know, it's just a fact. It's just a fucking fact. That's that. It's not a wish. The wish is just that you start honoring people their rights. I don't know why that is so hard. That's a deep mystery. Why it is so hard to just... is it because they don't reach up to your little IQ tests? Is that why it is so hard? Is that why it hurts so much in your stomach to just do it? Well, then maybe this whole place should just go up in a short beam of light, and then maybe you do actually deserve to not exist anymore. Because for some of us, it would be nicer that way, for our own sake and out of the sake of knowing that you didn't exist either. Have a nice night. I don't generally mean it anymore.